Because welcome back, everybody. My computer is going really slow. Bob and I were just talking about that. I hit the record button and it took about 7 seconds. We're on a 7 second delay here. Uh, but we are back. This is Sarcasm Speaks, Jared and Bob. We're here. We got some I don't want to call it, I hesitate to say breaking news, right? Especially on a show that we pre-record. But we have some developing news. There you go. That's that. So obviously we recorded last on Sunday night, um, which was the day after the Trump failed assassination. We opined on it basically for an hour and a half. I was really interested to see what the guys at the Drinking Bros had to say. Shout out to them. They actually did a live show on YouTube. Must be nice to have millions of people subscribe to your YouTube channel. But they went live at the exact same time we were recording. So it was interesting just to kind of like listen to that episode after the fact and see like, oh, we kind of said some similar stuff. Like they took a little bit more of like an inflammatory pathway, which I guess is understandable. Um, but they had some pretty cool guests on for that show too. They had Tim Kennedy, who might literally be the biggest badass in the entire world, and that is not hyperbole. Do you know who Tim Kennedy is? Have you heard the name?
Maybe. I mean, the name Tim Kennedy's
Yeah,
not
it's
really
very
narrowing it down.
yeah, it's a very generic name.
Steve Jones.
So he is a former UFC fighter. I believe he was a middleweight champion at one point. But while he was fighting in the UFC, he also joined the military and fought in the army. I think he was an Army Ranger. So he's a third degree black belt in jiu-jitsu. He has a black belt in Japanese jiu-jitsu. So he has a third degree in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Um, Black belt in modern army combative. His MMA record, his career record was 18 wins, 6 losses. Um, let's see, where did yeah, so he was in the US Army. He made it to the rank of Master Sergeant. He also at one point joined the Special Forces, so he's been in multiple different Special Forces groups. He fought in the Iraq War, the Afghanistan War, Operation Juniper Shield, which I don't know what that is. Oh, that was in Africa. Um, so he's been all over the place. He also recently went to Afghanistan a few years ago when good old Biden botched the exit plan there. And Tim Kennedy went with a couple other like former US military, and they got like planes in and they flew out American citizens. Like they grabbed as many people as they could and they got them out because the government said deuces, right? They just threw up the two fingers and was like, good luck trying to figure it out. We're out of here. So more recently, he also started the a private school system in Texas called Apogee. The dude is unreal, right? Like it's I don't necessarily believe in like man crushes and heroes and shit like that, but like if there ever was one, like Tim Kennedy it would be my guy, right? Like there's you can't you can't get any better than him. And I'm sure I think he's been married like 2 or 3 times. So I'm sure he's got some personal issues,
Okay,
right?
hey, listen, it takes two to tango on that front, so
Right, right.
can't have
So
it always. Wow, two or three times, Jesus Christ.
yeah, so I mean, I'm sure he went through some personal shit, right? But he's a little bit older now. He's settled down slightly. But yeah, so that's what I mean. Like again, that's why I always say, like, the heroes and the shit like that. It's also like I'm a grown ass fucking man, so I'm not gonna have a hero. But
They
again,
say you
Tim
should never meet
Kennedy,
your heroes.
yeah, you should never meet your heroes. Because you realize they're just people, right?
Ugh.
Um, Yeah. Oh, you're just
Gross.
like me. Oh, that's awful.
Gross. Well,
Um,
no one's that bad, but
yeah. So anyway, that was a long way of saying Tim Kennedy was on the Drinking Bros. Also, they had Rob O'Neill, who was the guy that actually put the bullet in between Osama bin Laden's eyeballs. And then they had a scout sniper. I forget the guy's name. Andrew Mateo or something like that. Maybe it was Mateo something. I don't know. Um, he was on the show. So it was kind of interesting, right? Like seeing again, they said a lot of the similar things that we did. Um, they went a little bit more hard line, right? Again, I guess to be expected, right? They're a lot more probably conservative. They all served in the military.
I would say qualified to comment.
They're qualified to comment, right? Unlike my dumbass and your slightly less dumbass. Uh, um, so
I just thought of something.
yeah,
Can you keep your place? Because I will forget this.
yeah.
How
You're good.
come no one is bringing this back to the Supreme Court ruling where Biden was going to assassinate Trump and it was going to be cool?
Oh, they did. I saw that on Twitter.
Okay, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
I
I
guess
saw that.
that's
People were retweeting those tweets, being like, "Oh, has
here
anyone
we
looked
are.
into this?"
Here we are.
And it's like, okay,
Immunity.
I don't know if it was facetious or being serious,
Boy,
but I did see someone on Twitter retweet it, being like, "Oh, has anyone looked into this?"
immunity, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, that's also not an official act of the presidency to assassinate your political rival.
Don't let facts get in the way of a good argument.
That's true.
We
That's
did a
true.
lot of facts last time. I might puke if we do any more facts.
Yeah, that's fair. Um, so they talked about that, right? They did their whole thing. They gave their opinions. They gave their thoughts. Shout out to Dan Holloway. He's really just great. Like he's a great person to listen to on a lot of different stuff. Um, Sometimes he has some goofy takes, right? And sometimes like some of the things he says don't always match up. Like at one point he was like apparently he like the show was friendly with Alex Jones, but then like 2 weeks later he was talking shit about Alex Jones, but like now they're friends again. And it's like again, everyone has their flaws, right? Like that's the whole point I'm trying to make is like, yes, I it's the same thing I have to somehow fucking explain to people every time the Joe Rogan thing comes up. They're like, "Oh, you like Joe Rogan?" And it's like, Jesus fucking Christ, here we go. Like, listen, man, I don't listen to Joe Rogan for Joe's fucking, you know, expert opinion on the cosmos, right? And metaphysics. Like I want to see what his guests have to say, right? So again, we're taking a lot of tangents here, but
Won't be. You don't have to worry about it soon. They're killing him, according to
yeah,
Alex Jones. So
yeah, exactly. Um, but again, I do really like Dan Holloway. I think he's great on a lot of things. Um, and he made a really good point that said, um, if a person, if a 20-year-old child, right? Because you're still basically a child when you're 20. If a 20-year-old child could make it past different levels of security, whether that is, you know, Secret Service, local law enforcement, state, SWAT, whatever. We covered that all. He goes, the same person that can make it past those levels of security and make it to the roof of the president from 150 yards away isn't the same person that should miss that shot, right? Like those things don't go hand in hand, right? So he was alluding to negligence or malfeasance, right? Like,
I did see like someone did like a I don't know if it's like CAD or they did like a imaging
yeah.
of Trump up there, and it's like almost like a sports science or a
Yeah.
MythBusters thing where it's like
Yeah, well, Ray Lewis runs
Donald
through the
Trump
door.
rotates his head like 25 degrees to the left, and that's why
Yeah.
it clips his ear. And I'm like,
Yeah. Bryson DeChambeau internally rotates his left
yeah,
knee about 6 degrees, and that allows
yeah.
for
So it's like
2,000 more foot-pounds of torque.
so it was like the live picture and then like a graphic where it's like, yeah, he does. He like looks this way, and that's
Yeah.
like what grazes his ear. And I'm like, dude, that still would have hit him in like the fucking cheek.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, so to that point, if that was like a legit trained shooter, he would have put the bullet through his fucking skull,
Right.
not ear,
Right.
and
So
not
like
where a little rotation takes it
exactly.
out of it. Or I would think. I mean, I don't know. I'm no sniper, so
Well, I
I give
agree with
I
that.
give them a lot of credit because, dude, you've seen, and like anyone who knows what they're talking to be like, yeah, dumbass, no shit. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm an idiot, so whatever.
Right. Right.
But it's like, they have to like measure the wind and measure the altitude, and know the elevation change. They need to know all of that. And it's an
Right.
algorithm and it's a formula. Like,
Right. And you got to do
that's
that
not
on
who
the
that
fly in the middle of
okay,
the desert with spiders crawling all over you.
that's not who was standing on that roof.
No, no. And that was Dan's point, was that the type of person that is required to make it past different lines of security to get to the top of the roof 150 meters away from the president or the former president of the United States, the current front runner, is not the same type of person that should miss that shot, right? So like the two things don't add up.
To say
Like he
someone
was
can also
either
correct me if I'm wrong. 150 meters isn't that far for a
no, it's
sniper,
not.
is it?
No, it's
Yeah,
not.
that's fairly
So
close.
funny story today, I at work, I was talking to one of the guys that works for me, and I hadn't talked to him since this all happened, and he's former army. He was a sergeant in the army. He was stationed up in like upstate New York for a little while. I think he did 2 tours in I think Afghanistan, because I think Iraq was probably done by the time he was there. He's like a year or two younger than me. Um, so he was like, yeah, man, like when we qual for rifles, we go to 300 meters. So, like, in order to qualify to shoot a rifle, you have to shoot it accurately at 300 meters. And like, this kid was 150 meters away, half the distance,
I
right?
missed.
And missed. And, so again, and that's what something doesn't pass the smell test there, right? Where it's like, he shouldn't have been able to make it to the roof, right? Is what it is. Like if a random 20-year-old nobody that is not militarily trained, right, should not have been able to make it to the roof, right, 150 meters away from the former president, which I 100% agree with, right? We talked a little bit
Yeah.
about it um, on the show, the last show, where it was like, if that person, if the counter sniper sees someone on the roof, I would imagine, again, I'm just a jackass, but I would imagine the conversation goes something like, is that a hostile or a friendly? And again, to reiterate, when the answer is, I don't know, the immediate action and response should be move the principal off the target, right? Like get him out of there.
Just
Like
down.
move the asset, right? Like get him off the X, like whatever terminology you want to
How
use.
about this duck
Yeah. How about
swarm?
don't let him keep talking for another 3 minutes? How about you get his ass the hell out of there? Right. And then afterwards, you can figure out whether that guy was a friendly or a hostile. So that was an epic fail. Right. And then another thing that Dan posted that I saw actually right before we came on here. Apparently, the director of the Secret Service had come out and said that there were members of the Secret Service inside of the building that the shooter was on the roof of. They were not on the roof. Do you want to know why? Because the roof was sloped, and that would cause danger. It would cause a dangerous condition to put men on a sloped roof. That was the legitimate response from the director of the Secret Service as to why no one was on that roof. There were members of the Secret Service inside the building, but they couldn't be on the roof because the roof was sloped. Now, I don't know if you've seen the pictures where after the counter snipers, fuck this kid's day up, there were three members of law enforcement standing on top of the roof with their guns pointed at the body, right? Seemed like they were okay to be up there. Seemed like the kid was okay to be up there.
Sounds like fucking someone was reading their OSHA manual too hard.
Yeah.
It's not safe to have a sniper on a sloped roof.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. We
well,
can't.
their one job is to protect that one guy.
Yeah.
I think they can. I'm pretty sure someone's thought of this before.
Yeah. It's called an occupational hazard. You deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Also, I know there's different levels to the Secret Service, right? Like we talked a little bit about that. There's the internal level, and then there's like the middle and external tier. But like, regardless, if you are a member of the Secret Service, like I'm pretty sure in the job description, it says like you must be willing to give up your life for whatever asset you're about to protect. Right. Because like when you join the Secret Service, you don't know whose detail you're going to get put on. You might get put on you might get put on the Postmaster General, right? Like
I was just gonna say, it's almost like the Creed, like through whatever, like the fucking Creed that the letter carriers have to do, like
yeah, yeah.
through rain and whatever.
Obviously, when you join the Secret Service, you want to be on the presidential detail, but more people than just the
No,
president
you
get details.
dude, you definitely want to be on the Postmaster General, like,
Yeah, that's true. You
because
do.
it's not very often that you actually have to do your job.
Right.
And it's like one of those things. Now I know some people. I'm looking at it the entirely wrong way. Some people are like, "No, put me in the action." It's like, no, 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 no. You're not. You're creating a fictitious situation. There is minimal action. It's way easier just to protect the fucking 20th guy in the line of succession
yeah.
than it is to get the president or the former president.
I
Now,
think
maybe
former
it's easier to
president would
take
probably be
Harris
pretty
because it's
pretty
like
cool.
if Harris got eliminated, I don't know if anyone really miss her.
Yeah, probably not. You probably wouldn't lose your job. You might just get a suspension.
Yeah. Get the wooden gun like in the other
Yeah,
guys.
yeah, yeah. Here, you take this. Sit at a desk for 9 months. Then you can come back.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
that's
I think a
and
former president would probably be pretty sweet. Because like
it,
they don't fucking do anything. You know what I mean? Like they
but
just go
but that's
fly
the
around the
thing,
world
like,
and like give speaking engagement. No one wants to kill a former president.
but like it's like, again, I don't know how deep the Secret Service goes, like down that line. There are some people that literally are not a threat.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, you and the assistant to the attorney general in training, you guys are off. All right. Or the surgeon general. Like, who's gonna kill the
Yeah.
surgeon general?
Yeah. Well, there's like I don't know. I just thought of something. I don't know if there's a point where, as a former president, you can choose to relinquish your Secret Service detail. Because I just thought of Jimmy Carter, who's been in hospice for like fucking 14 months already. Like, imagine being the Secret Service on Jimmy Carter's detail. Like, dude, you just sit around and read books all day. Like, no one's gonna and maybe if someone did try and kill him, maybe you just let it happen. Like, let him put the poor
Yeah.
bastard out of his misery.
There's probably conditions. I mean, like, especially like hospice.
Yeah,
Like,
there has to be a
like,
scenario where like you
what
no
are
longer
you?
qualify.
That's the thing. What are you protecting?
Yeah, exactly.
The inevitable?
Yeah.
It's like, if someone wants to kill Jimmy Carter, just fucking let them.
Yeah, please do. Honestly, like at this point, it's a
It
mercy
opens up a
killing.
bed.
Like, have you seen pictures of him
No.
recently? It's not good, dude. It's really not good.
Well, I mean, anyone in hospice is not good.
Yeah, it looks kind of like a 99-year-old version of Mobo.
Well, there's also a reason why like
That's an
DNRs
inside joke
exist.
that
Yeah,
no
I
one's
know.
gonna get
No one's
besides
gonna
you and
get
me,
that.
and anyone that we grew up with. that listens to the show.
But that's the other thing is like that's why DNRs exist is because hospice is like, dude, it's the end of the line.
Yeah,
Like it's not even assisted living. Like it is the fucking end.
yeah,
And it's like, yeah, okay, so it's like one less dude. I don't know. It seems morbid, but
yeah, yeah. And I mean, there's got to be a
plus he's a
way.
hundred. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Um, I think at some point you must be allowed to just relinquish. Be like, yeah, I'm good. I don't need him anymore.
yeah, because again, if the whole purpose is to protect and the dude's under like 24-hour like
Yeah,
medical care, what are you doing? Making
right. You're
sure the nurse
protecting the
doesn't trip
machine.
and unplug the machine? Like,
Yeah,
no one's coming to visit him. He's 100.
yeah. Everyone's dead. His wife is dead.
Everyone's dead.
Yeah, yeah. When you make it to 100, dude, everyone's dead.
Yeah.
Like, except for obviously your descendants, right? Like, you might
Yeah,
have
but
some
even
great
then, it's
grandkids, but like,
like
how
what,
often are they going
you're
to
gonna
come
bring
see you?
the grandkids to see him in
That's the
fucking
thing.
hospice?
You don't want to bring the great grandkids to see the dude that's in hospice, right? Like, you don't want them to see that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
see
like
that?
when you're 100, dude, like fuck it, man. Just pull the plug. Like, I'm all good. I don't need that. I
Yeah,
don't need it, right? Everyone's dead, right? His siblings are dead, his parents are
everyone's
dead, his
dead.
cousins are dead, his wife is dead. The only people that are alive are his children, grandchildren, and great grandchildren. I'm all good. I'm
Yeah,
all
but
set.
even
Just let
his
me get out
children
of
are
here.
old as shit.
Yeah, right? Like, his kids might be dead, right? Like, if he
They're in
might
their
have kids that are in
70s.
their 80s, like 70s or 80s, right? Like, his kids might die soon.
So bad, but it's so true.
It's yeah, it's fucking wild. But seriously, like, I'm good. I'm all set with that. I don't need to live to be 100, right? Like, although I should say it's different. It has less to do with the number, right? It has more to do with the functionality, right? Like, if
Right.
for some reason I was 84 years old and I was fucking crippled and like stuck to a bed, dude, I'm good. I've lived a good life. I'm 84 years old. Like, I'm all set. Like, I don't need to stick around. I'm good, right? But like, if I happen to be 92 and I'm still fucking, sweeping the streets like my grandfather was at 92, he would just go out with a broom and just sweep the sidewalk just for fun, like, and cut the grass and shit. Like, yeah, there's just keep on keeping on, dude. Like, who cares? If you can do it, do it. But it's so I think it's more of the ability for me than it is the age itself, right?
Although where my golf game's at that point.
How far can I hit the ball? Or can I keep it out of the shit, right?
Yeah, how short are the shortest tees?
Can I just tee it up from the beginning of the fairway?
Putt. Just drive right up to the green.
Yeah, yeah, just putt. So yeah, I mean, there's been some new developments, right? Like I said, in the whole assassination attempt, right? And some of it does stink. Some of it does stink, right? Like the officer that allegedly went up the ladder and then went back down the ladder, right? Like, there was apparently Secret Service members in the building, but not on the roof. Like, I don't want to subscribe to conspiracies, right? Like, I do think they're fun, right? I do enjoy hearing them, reading about them, engaging with them. I think they're fun. I really do. From an entertainment perspective, I don't necessarily believe all of them. I do actually believe some of them. I will admit that. Um, but like, shit like this makes it really hard for someone like me, right, who's a skeptic, to not want to believe that there was some sort of conspiracy. So like, very easily someone that wants to believe it is going to be like, "Oh yeah, obviously they rigged it. They tried to kill him, right? This is the deep state. Just go take the Alex Jones route." But I don't know. I still think it is a massive incompetence, but
Any of this. That's the thing. And I know there was like the quote of fucking Julio's race or whatever, but that's all it ends up being is
Yeah,
we've done this before where somebody sucks, right?
right.
Like in any job, somebody sucks.
Yeah.
No matter how prestigious and how elite the Secret Service is, someone has to suck somewhere.
I think we talked about it on the last episode, right? That also, like, he's not the president, right? So, like, oh no, I talked about this with the guy at work today. So, because he came at me and he was like, "Oh, dude, do you think the Republicans like framed it?" And I was like, "No, absolutely not." And I was like, "A legitimate person, like a real human, died. Like two other people got shot. Like, there's no way that was staged. Like that, that's not a chance, right?" He was like, "Oh, okay, 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 like whatever." So, but then I was like, you know, he doesn't have the best Secret Service members, obviously, right? He's a former president, right? Who is, it doesn't matter that he's the front runner to be the next president. The current sitting US president of the United States is Joe Biden. He is going to get the most Secret Service protection. He is going to get the best Secret Service protection, right? Trump probably at best has the B team. He might have the C team, might have a little bit of, D squad in there too,
As I was
right?
gonna say, it's like on average, it's probably the B minus team.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a fair way to look at it.
Some B's,
On
some
average,
C's.
is the B minus team. No one on his team is an A,
I
right?
mean, maybe in gym, like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe they got an A,
but like,
an A in
yeah, like,
gym.
like he's got like an A in IT, but like
Yeah,
his front runners are like mostly B's, and
right.
his like support is mostly C's.
Because so that was the thing too that came up in again my discussion with the guy at work today, and I was like, yes, I understand how the Secret Service works, right? That I watched a documentary on them once. I think it was fascinating. They actually do go to different locations months in advance and scout the whole area and do a whole profile. Actually, really similar to the movie Shooter, right? What they had Mark Wahlberg do, and then they've used that to frame him for actually shooting the Kenyan ambassador or whoever that guy was in the movie. Um, but that is actually what they do, right? Did they do that for former presidents? Maybe. Like, do they do as good of a job? I don't know.
I
Maybe.
think
Probably
that's where I
not.
would lie. I'd probably lie with,
Right? Like, how
you know,
many
if
members of the Secret Service did Trump have with him? 20, 25?
yeah, like say it's like normally like scoping out a site is like 10 people, 10 hours of work, 100 hours. It's like, well, did they only do 20 this time? Even
Right.
50?
Right. Yeah, so it's like I'm sure they cut corners, right? And to your point, right? Like every job has people that suck, right? And we talked about this years ago during the whole like, all cops are bad, riot, whatever. Like, no, 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 no. Like you're an asshole. Some cops are bad. Yes, because some people are bad, right?
Yeah.
And cops are people.
Every
Therefore,
job, someone sucks.
someone sucks in every job. At every job, there's someone out there that sucks, right? And there's a higher likelihood that someone who is not the sitting president of the United States is going to get members of the Secret Service that suck at their job.
Yeah, way higher probability, way higher.
Way higher. So, like, yeah, dude, I don't know. Maybe there was like three Secret Service guys sitting in that building, shooting the shit, playing poker, right? Like drinking fucking bourbon, for all I know. Like, who knows, right? Maybe they're like, yeah, fuck it, we don't have to do anything today. No one's gonna do anything, and then that's the day something happens,
Well,
right?
even on a simpler level, right? Like, so we had the home inspection last Sunday, and like the guy we use is really good. He did our condo, or him and another guy did our condo. Like he did this one. Like Michaela had a home inspection here, and they were out in like 45 minutes. And it's like, did they inspect the house? Sure did. Are they licensed and insured and employed and have a client list? Yep, they
Yep,
do.
yep.
One guy was just way better than the other guy. And like that's the same thing, like whether it's scoping it out or setting up day of or a perimeter, like someone was probably just or so someone's definitely better for the sitting president. I would fucking hope.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Like, I hope you have A's across the board, not just Jim. Um, yeah, that's the thing is like even attributes like, hey, this guy's like pretty good at like getting everybody there, but like once he's there, he's a little bit weak on setup and he's a little bit weak on organization. Like he's a planner, he's not a live guy. And it's like,
Yeah.
so as long as you guys are like, as long as the plan's in place, like you guys should be fine. And it's like didn't really go according to plan. It's like, oh no, Frank, that's not Frank. That's not what
Yeah.
Frank's good at. It's like,
Yeah,
see,
Frank's
Frank's a
not really
lot
good at
better when an
thinking on his
active
feet.
shooter doesn't show up.
Yeah. Yeah, if you just need Frank to stand there and keep the crowd
Yeah.
away, he's your man, right? Like he's
Yeah.
great at that.
Chauffeur in out, transportation's all arranged, like everyone gets to
Yep.
where they need to get to, everyone's dressed and protected. But when an active shooter shows up, that's not Frank. Frank's
Yeah.
not that guy. It's like, fuck. Really kind of needed Jeff.
Yeah.
Jeff is good when an active shooter shows up. Only problem is people usually miss their cars.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like I said, it's most likely towards incompetence there until we hear otherwise, right? Like that's kind of how I look at it. If they can prove otherwise, and now that doesn't mean that like I don't think that the director of the Secret Service should lose her job because and it's tough, right? We talk about like you never root for someone to lose their job and lose their livelihood, but like Jesus fucking Christ, dude, that's such a hard thing for me to get behind. Is your explanation of why no one was on the roof is because the roof is sloped?
Yeah, it's not like it's like a gutter service where it's like, hey, we don't climb if it's steeper than
Yeah.
45 degrees.
Also, it's not as if it's like a fucking NASCAR bank that you're just going to slide off of. Like
Well, here's
it
my other
might have
thing
been
is,
sloped at like 12 degrees.
and then like, so if you had done your homework, you would have seen that roof and gone, hey, that roof's a little sloped. It's
Yeah.
like, is that going to be a problem for the sniper? It's like, it could be. Like, generally, we don't put them on roofs with that grade. And it's like, all right, well, let's get a couple platforms and install them on the roof.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Well, you
okay.
know what's funny? You know what I just thought of? That picture of the two counter snipers on the roof behind Trump. They're on the roof of a barn. So that roof is sloped like a NASCAR bank, but it was okay for them. Now, someone might come at me and say they're not Secret Service, which they might not be, right? But again, it's where things like this just kind of smell fishy, right? And it could it is plausible, right, that the Secret Service did a really shitty job and didn't put someone on the roof when they were supposed to, right?
Yeah, they also like the other thing too is like I'll accept that they gambled and fucking lost.
Yeah,
Like we will
exactly.
gamble that a
Just
shooter is
come
not
out
gonna be here.
and admit to it. I think that is my biggest problem. And I think that is what gives fuel to the conspiracy theorist fire, right? When you come out with a bullshit excuse, because that's
Yeah.
exactly what it is. Let's not beat around the bush. It's a bullshit excuse, right? Because you don't want to lose your job. So you said, oh no, we couldn't put snipers on there because of safety reasons because the roof was sloped. Okay, but the guys on the barn behind Trump were fine. But like, if you had just come out and said, you know what, this was a massive fuck up on our end.
We're
I
gonna do a
take
full
full, we'll
investigation.
take a full
No, you don't say
investigation.
that shit. We're gonna do a full investigation into what happened, how this person was able to get where they needed to get to, and we will provide any discipline and further training that we need, and what like just use all the
Yeah.
words like,
Yeah.
and then at least if you do that, people will be like, well, how could you how could you allow that to happen? It's like I just told you, we don't like we're gonna do a full investigation into what happened and what went wrong. I wasn't on site. Like we
Yeah.
don't say that, but that's the thing is like almost it's like if you are like director of the Secret Service and you make a decision, you almost have to ask yourself, like, what if someone gets murdered? Does this rationale stand?
Right.
You go, oh well, the roof was too sloped. Okay, well the guy's dead.
Yeah.
Like, so you're telling me that professional trained shooters couldn't deal with the slope?
Yeah. Y equals mx plus b.
They know exactly how to adjust their aim if it's 2 miles an hour of wind or if it's 3.5 miles an hour of wind. And you're gonna tell me they can't handle a slope?
Yeah.
Not buying it.
Yeah.
But I guess if he died, then there is no statement from this. Like the Secret Service
Yeah.
just goes, "Oh my, like what a tragedy."
Yeah. Yeah.
Who knows?
So
Not me.
yeah, not me either. Um, so an interesting angle, the last thing here before we can move on after this. Um, I saw a really interesting angle that was another sort of conspiracy that again, they're fun. I like it, but it's always like, kind of makes you think. So we all know Trump and Nikki Haley do not get along. Um, she lasted in the race, the Republican primary, the longest. She was refusing to quit. She thought she had a chance to really become the nominee. Um, she had a bunch of delegates, whatever, that were going to still go for her, right, at the RNC this week over Trump, even though Trump had enough to still win. It wouldn't be unanimous, whatever, yada, 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 right? Trump and Nikki Haley don't like each other. So, about 30 minutes before the shooting took place, there was an announcement that Nikki Haley, who had not previously been invited to the RNC, right? The Republican National Convention that's going on this week in Milwaukee, I think. Um, she wasn't going. Then at let me see here, 5:44 p.m., it was released. Nikki Haley invited to speak at the Republican convention in Milwaukee. That was the title of a headline. The assassination attempt went down around 6:15, right? I think it was like 6:13 technically is when, everything kind of happened. So a half hour before this attempt, Nikki Haley, who is the oil to Trump's water, uh, gets invited to the RNC. Some people have alluded to the fact that potentially, right, if this was an inside job, what they wanted to do, right, and they being the deep state, right, quote unquote deep state, like whoever that is, CIA, FBI, Soros, whatever, right? They wanted to install Nikki Haley as the Republican candidate because I think it's important to note too. Again, it's all of these crazy conspiracy theory things that you sit there and you're like, fuck, man, they make a lot of sense. They attempted this before Trump named a vice president, right? He named a vice president on Monday. Monday was the first day of the RNC, and he named JD Vance as his vice president. They attempted to kill him on Saturday. And a half hour before the bullets were flying, they were like, oh, yeah, Nikki Haley, you should come to the RNC. She's like, okay, cool, I'll come. So that's a lot of dots to connect, but some people are trying to connect the dots and say that what the plan was to kill Trump and then was to usher in Nikki Haley as the candidate instead, who would then support, the deep state, right? Like Lockheed Martin, Boeing. She was on the board of directors at Boeing forever, right? Like that was how she made a lot of her money. So it's kind of interesting. It's one of those things, again, it just kind of like makes you stop and think and go, huh, I guess I could see that.
I think a little bit of that too, and I'm like, I just don't think they tried to kill him. So it's hard. Again, it's
Yeah.
like follow the bouncing ball, right? But I don't want to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I say they too, like being, whoever, CIA, Lockheed, General Dynamics, whatever, again, the deep state. Um, I don't think that, again, the deep state handed this kid the gun, right? And was like, go do this.
Yeah.
But we talked a little bit about it the other day, where it's like when you feed these people for 10 years that this Trump equals Hitler, right? Trump equals bad. If I know he already was president, but this time if he wins, oh man, the country is dead. The country is over. Democracy is kiss it goodbye, right? So again, it's brilliant, right? Because it's like a psyop, right? It's you're not actually forcing people to do anything, but you kind of are just by the narrative that you're spinning, right? So like again, we talked about it. Eventually, if you tell people for 10 years that this guy is Hitler, eventually someone might try and do something about that, right? So, it's kind of one of those weird things. Like, do I think the deep state physically got this kid ready to go? Probably not. But like, some of the other things they might have done along the way definitely pushed him to that moment. So who knows? We'll probably never know.
We won't.
So, that being said, do you want to move on to some other shit?
We can move on to some other shit.
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to hate the fuck out of California even more?
Yes, please.
Okay. So our buddy Gavin Newsom signed a law, Assembly Bill 1955, AB 1955. So I do have the article up, and it's a very odd thing. So it has made it illegal for school districts to notify parents if their child wants to change their name or their gender on official school records.
Huh.
So if a child is doing this stuff and there's no age, whatever, the kid can kind of just do it, and then the school effectively has to lie to the parents because the idea is that they cannot provide that information, right?
Yeah, so it's like literally illegal for them to tell the parents about this. Like they'll go to jail.
So I'm trying to find. Yes. So it invalidates the popular parental notification policies enacted by local school boards across the state. So right now, if like little Johnny comes in and goes, you know what? I'm a girl now. And they're like, yeah. And he goes, yep, sure am. Call me fucking Jenny now. And you're like, all right, dude. Or I guess, all right, madam,
Yeah.
you're fucking Jenny now. And it's like, okay, you want to do that? Like, you need to like let the parents know.
Right.
So now it's getting rid of those notification policies. So I think this thing, I don't know, it's like the California Center for Policy seems to be a little biased against it, which I'll allow it because this is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
So his new law instructs school officials to lie to parents if their child changed their gender name, pronouns at school. Um, people speaking out about it, disappointed, unconstitutionally abrogates parents' rights. Ooh, fun. Um, now we're gonna see what happens because this does violate federal law. Um, I
Okay.
think it's the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, which grants parents universal access to information about their child in public school. And this is public schools. This isn't private schools. This is nothing like that.
Right. Right.
Uh, And an interesting point that someone made, vice president of education policy government affairs at California. Oh, at this website. Um, he goes, if you're not going to notify the parents, and you need to create dummy files to keep this going because one, you're not notifying the parents. So you need to keep like, I guess, a file for both.
Right.
And they do have the potential to lose federal funding. So you they're kind of playing both sides. Cause like if little Johnny, if they're not notifying the parents, like, all right, well, we have to keep a record for little Johnny. And it's like, well, he's Jenny now. So it's like, as far as the school's concerned, like this is the file for Jenny, not Johnny. But then I guess if the feds come looking, it's like, no, Jenny's right here. And it's like,
Yeah.
it creates a very weird um situation because frankly, it doesn't make a lot of sense, right? It's
No,
like
it doesn't.
the state's kind of stepping in
And I feel like the
between.
parents are going to find out at some point anyway.
Yeah, I mean, never mind. Like it it's it's so if we just take that for what it is, it's like it's really fucking stupid because one, kids can't keep a secret. So it's like they're gonna run their mouth at some point that like, oh
Right.
yeah, I told the people at school that like I'm a girl now. And it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, are you? No, I just told them that. It's like, why? I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it
It's
was
like,
funny.
do you have any idea like what you kind of just did? Whatever.
Yeah.
Or it's like, no, I'm like, dude, I'm a girl. Like, okay. Like, actually, yeah, no, I am. It's like, don't you think maybe we should have had the conversation by now? Like, instead of just going to the school. I don't know. So it creates like a really weird thing, right? And
Yeah.
it's some people have commented like, the state is becoming the parents. And I'm like, I'm not that far into it, but I don't like that with minors in public school that the state is making laws about what information can get to parents and what can't. That seems fucking highly
Yeah.
illegal, like very
Yeah.
illegal.
It does. It does. If nothing
Now,
else, just in extreme poor taste too. Like you're stripping the parents of their rights and responsibilities
yeah,
in a
for the for
sense.
for the thing, and like this is the thing too. It's like, you
Ooh.
know, you treat this kid like you treat your own kid like you treat them like shit and like DSS is coming. You
Right.
have that whole situation, right?
Right.
So it's like I can't swear at my kid or they're gonna call fucking DSS and I gotta deal with that shit. But my kid wants to fucking transition and now you're not telling me that? How
Right.
the fuck does that make sense?
Right.
Um so now the comments kind of come in because we're past like the facts, right?
Right.
So it's the rest of the article. So AB 1955 also opens the door to child exploitation, creating a culture of secrecy from parents at school, will lead to unsafe school environments where predators are more easily able to groom vulnerable children. Ward and other sponsors of the bill have defended their bill as needed to protect students from forced outing to unaccepting and abusive parents. I agree with the first point, and I think that second point about the unaccepting and abusive parent, I think that is a terrifying, terrifying sort of attitude.
Yeah.
And
Well,
um,
also you could make the argument that you're undermining the Department of Children and Families, right? So like I know
yeah, you are.
every state has something different, right? In
You
Massachusetts
are.
it's DCF. But that policy, right, undermines DCF because if you're just saying this is a way to protect kids from unaccepting and abusive parents, well, isn't that the whole purpose of DCF? Right? Like if there is a child that does feel comfortable enough to come out as whatever, right? Gay, trans, bi, whatever at school, and then they tell someone at school, like, oh, I told my dad and he hit me, like,
Calling
you're a
social
mandated
services.
reporter as a teacher, right?
Yeah.
Like that you have to call DCF. Like now DCF gets involved, and having been involved in this firsthand on as a contractor with DCF, um, it doesn't always go smoothly because you may get a shitty social worker. Again, to a point earlier,
Somebody sucks at their job.
yeah, there's always places that have people that suck at their jobs, right? So I don't know. I mean, I guess it could be a potential to fall through the cracks, but like the system that's in place with the Department of Children and Families and its counterpart in all other 49 states is there to protect kids from abusive parents, right? Like you don't need this law that makes it illegal for schools to communicate with the parents to circumnavigate what is already a job by a state agency that has existed for decades.
Well, the article continues, and here's another aspect which makes that last sentence a little bit more terrifying. So this is the dude. I think this is the dude who wrote the article. Newsom is okay to bill that was based on the flawed logic that parents are dangerous and not to be trusted, and that the state or strangers are better positioned to deal with the difficulties of adolescents than parents. That is probably the most concern. It's the second most concerning. I'll get to the most concerning statement.
Yeah.
That's the most concerning statement in that
Yeah. I would agree. I
article
would
because
agree
it's
with you.
it's building distrust in your own parents. Like,
Yeah.
no, parents bad, parents bad,
Yeah. Government good.
government good,
Yeah.
state
Government good.
good,
Parents bad.
yeah, teachers good, the
Yeah.
real heroes.
Yeah. Teachers are our heroes.
Do you want to know what those real heroes have been up to in California?
Pedophilia.
Oh, I mean, we know that. Hundreds of $1 millions in settlements with victims of sexual assault. Yep. Hundreds of millions.
Hundreds
Okay.
of millions.
So, two teachers sued a school district for requiring teachers to lie to parents. Uh, that is still pending. Two California school districts have already paid massive legal settlements to a mother after teachers secretly pressured her 11-year-old daughter to transition at school without her knowledge.
Ooh.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh.
Are you
Yeah.
fucking serious?
Yeah. So now being an actual parent
One time parent.
as a one-time parent, um if I were in that situation, I would be going to jail
Yeah, you would.
because I would
I fully trust that you would.
I would murder the
Yeah.
teacher. I don't
Yeah.
care, right? It's one of those situations of fuck, I always forget the guy's name, but it was in the 90s where his son was abducted and molested for like years and years and years. And the father waited in the airport. Again, this is pre 9/11, so there was no like TSA or anything. So the father of the kid that got molested waited in the airport for this guy who got caught, right, and was being transferred. He was walking in the airport in handcuffs with police, and the father walks over to him and just fucking shoots him and then just drops the gun and like it goes, you can arrest me now.
Yep.
Like again, as a one-time parent, I can 1000% respect the shit out of that guy. And if my kid was 11 years old and I found out that a teacher at his school pressured him to transition his gender and I was not involved, like the teacher took him to the doctor to have surgery, that teacher is dead. I am going to kill the teacher and I am going to go to jail. I will shoot the teacher. I will drive myself to the police department and put my hands out and say, "Please put me in handcuffs because I just murdered someone." But now we know that the world is safer because that horrible, fucking deplorable human being that was posing as a teacher, forcing kids to go get surgery and alter their lives at 11 years old, is no longer able to walk the face of the earth. So you can put me in jail for however long you want, but I know I just did a good thing. So I'm not going to lose any sleep at night.
Yeah. In my jail cell,
Yeah.
I'll sleep good.
I have no regrets about
So
murdering a human being.
so that was my most concern. So that was when I said, oh, second most concerning. That's my most concerning statement. Like,
Yeah.
and this is all California. Like, we are only speaking about California. We're not talking
Yeah,
about, oh,
California is a fucking cesspool, dude. Just blow
then
it up. I hope it's the I think it's technically the closest. No, that's Alaska. I was gonna say I think it's the closest state to Russia, but
nope,
it is technically
Alaska.
Alaska. But dude, I hope if Russia's gonna blow something up, I hope they just blow up California. I honestly I wouldn't even get mad. I'd be like, yeah, thanks.
You
I
can
might
fucking have it.
handwrite a letter to Vladimir Putin himself and say thank you.
Yeah, I'll send him a wedding thank you card.
Just blow it up. Just get rid of it.
Yeah.
The place is absolutely disgusting.
Yep. So the trickle down effect. I'm not pulling up the tweets. I'm not doing it because I frankly don't feel like it. Elon Musk is losing his shit. So
He's a
X,
13-time father.
yeah,
He's
X
got 13
out of
kids.
California.
Yeah.
Uh, what's his space? Is it SpaceX?
SpaceX. Yeah.
SpaceX out of California. He is
Yeah.
like losing his shit over that.
Yeah. Good.
Um, yeah, and he goes, you continue to do this shit. He goes, everyone's gonna he goes, anyone that matters is gonna fucking leave.
Yeah.
Like the whack jobs that live there can stay there, and that's fine. But
It's going
like,
to turn into a giant mental institution. It's going to become
dude,
Australia.
frankly,
The British penal colony that Australia was, that's going to be California because
just rename it Arkham Asylum. Like,
yeah, like the people that matter are going to flee the state and the people that go there and stay there are going to be fucking mental patients.
yeah, and like when Musk says shit like that, I'll listen because like if he's gonna give, you know, like if he's gonna give his opinion on whatever that he doesn't really know shit about, like fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when he starts saying like I'm out with both my companies,
Yeah.
and I won't be the only people to do it. Other companies will also do the same thing. Like people are out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he was already talking about moving the headquarters to Texas anyway.
He said this was the final straw.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah, and he even said, he goes, I did make it clear to Governor Newsom about a year ago that laws of this nature would force families and companies to leave California to protect their children. No one's gonna like, dude, like no one's gonna be sitting there as like the head of X technology company and being like, realistically, I could go anywhere in the fucking world. Like again, like
yeah,
I don't know which company this. It doesn't matter because I don't have one in mind. I don't know them. Like I don't know how
right.
easy it whatever. They go, I could go anywhere in the fucking world.
Yeah.
So why would I continue to hang in California where the taxes are high? And you're gonna pass bullshit laws like this? I'm fucking out of here. Like
Yeah.
I'll deal with fucking everything that comes with Texas over this. Like Texas has got its problems, but like no, you people are fucking you people are frank like you people are terrifying. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's scary. Like
Dude, honestly, this is an opportunity for like a random ass state to like step up and be like, bring all your shit here. That's what Georgia
who,
did.
but I
So
would
with
say,
Hollywood,
but who are you thinking?
oh, I don't
Because
know.
I'm telling you, like Montana and Idaho, they don't want you
No, no, no,
people.
no. Montana, Idaho, no way. They hate when people talk about their state.
I
They
hate it.
literally hate when people say that how beautiful the state is. They're like, no, 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 you
No,
shut the fuck up. You don't tell anybody about this place. Um, because
Nevada.
it's funny because I have Mike Baker, right, who's a former alleged former. I don't know if you ever former CIA. But he's one of my favorite guests on Joe Rogan. So shout out to Sexy Chris. Him and I always go nuts anytime he's on, just because he's a fun guest. But he lives in northern Idaho, and he says it all the time. He goes, "No, no, no, northern Idaho sucks because you don't want to go there. It's terrible." Um, but I mean, Georgia tried to do this when Hollywood was being all weird about shit and like whatever California did about taxes or something. Georgia, this might have been like maybe a decade or so ago. Georgia like opened up and like removed taxes on films, right? So like you could film your movies in Georgia and not pay any state tax on whatever, right? So that's why like a lot of movies started being filmed in Georgia. And then Massachusetts actually just did this a few years ago where they did the same thing, where they're starting to give movie companies tax breaks to shoot their movie in the state. So now that's why like there's a ton of movies that whether or not they make it apparent that are shot in Massachusetts are actually being shot in Massachusetts all over the state because the state decided to pass a law to to provide tax breaks to movie companies, right? So like again, this is an opportunity for North Carolina, right, to be like, you know what, we're going to become the new tech hub, right? If you want to,
That would be so fucking
if
funny
you
too.
want to have your tech startup move to North Carolina, we will give you all the tax breaks in the world, right? Like it opens the door for something like that. Um,
I'm looking at Nevada. So Nevada is very underdeveloped. I know it's the desert, but Nevada's very underdeveloped. No state income tax. Vegas is going to fucking pay for itself. I think Nevada should step up in this situation.
I think realistically, not to be like too fact based here, but I think
Ugh.
realistically, you need to be near some prestigious universities, right? So, like, what makes the most sense?
UNLV, the
Yeah,
fucking running rep.
yeah.
What are they? UNLV running rebels? No. What are they?
Shooting rebels?
No. I think running
I don't know.
rebels. But are
They might
rebels
be the running
really
rebels.
Nevada?
Um, but like, what would make a lot of sense, even though the state fucking sucks, right? It's arguably one of the worst states in the country. Would be Connecticut, right?
Just
Because
the rebels.
you have Yale, right? Is there? Um, no, Princeton's in New Jersey. I was going to say you have Yale and Princeton,
What
but
is the running rebels?
you're close to, some of the Ivy Leagues there because that's the whole thing, right? That's why Boston is a pharmaceutical hub because you have MIT, BU, Harvard right there.
MCPHS,
Yeah,
ABCDQ.
yeah, MCPCHS XYZ. Um, and that's why the Bay Area is a massive tech hub because you have Cal Berkeley, you have Stanford, you have everything that's right there. So like realistically, you would need some sort of like feeder system, right? You would need some like tech heavy schools on the East Coast. Although it doesn't necessarily need to be on the East Coast, right? Like it could be, Texas, right? Or Arizona, right? Like I don't know. University of Arizona isn't known for anything other than being a party school, but maybe Arizona State has some smart kids.
I mean, University of Nevada can't be that bad. Wolfpack?
I think surprisingly, Ohio State is uh is a really good school, like academic school.
Uh, so that's my thing is like the more I've kind of like heard, most large schools are in fact quite good academically. Like
Yeah,
even Alabama, even Georgia. I don't know
yeah,
about Ole Miss. I don't think Ole Miss is good
yeah. I
academic. Like
don't
because
think Ole Miss.
you can't fix fucking Ole Miss.
Yeah, you can't fix Mississippi.
Yeah, and then it's like even if it's not really like University of Indiana, it's like their business school is like unbelievable. or
Right.
something. And it's like, I don't know about the rest of the school, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, like, so here's my little thing, right? And I don't think University of Nevada is set up for this. So build it. Um,
Build it, they will come.
just build it. Build a fucking a school of technology at fucking Nevada, and then the kids will go, and then you have the students. Just fucking
Yeah.
build it. There's nothing in Nevada.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, can it go toe to toe with Stanford? No, but that's not the point. Because if your company's that good, Stanford will come to you. It's not that far. It's far, but not that far.
Right. Right. So yeah.
Or bring back mining. I don't know. Whatever.
Shout out to the running rebels.
There has to be a Nevada School of Mines. It has to be.
There has to be.
Because
I mean, there's a
Colorado
North
has the
Dakota
big one,
School of
right?
Mining, right? Isn't that where Matt Patricia went? The North Dakota School of Mining?
No, no, he did. Did he actually?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like somebody actually
That
went there.
cannot be fucking true. Oh shit. I need the US. Oh, there's a lot of fucking mining schools in Asia.
Yeah. North
And
Dakota
sure.
School of Mines.
Colorado, Southern Illinois, University of Kentucky, Michigan Tech, Missouri University of Science and Technology, Montana Tech, uh, University of North Dakota. Oh, nailed it. Nevada, University of
Yeah.
Nevada. Yeah, North Dakota has a College of Engineering and Mines. New Mexico, Columbia, like New. Where the fuck are they mining in fucking in
Yeah.
Harlem? Oregon State, Penn State, South Dakota, Utah, Virginia Tech, and West Virginia. I say
Oh,
bring back mining.
Matt Patricia went to RPI.
Yeah, I was gonna say like
Is he a local guy?
probably
Oh
local
no, wait a
enough.
second. I thought RPI stood for like Rhode Island Polytech. It's
Rochester. Oh,
Rensselaer.
Rensselaer, right?
Rensselaer Polytech. Where the fuck is
RPI,
that?
New York, I think.
Yeah, Troy, New York. There's
What's the
also
other
a
one?
college in
Oh, it's
Troy.
R
It's
it's
called Troy.
RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology.
Yeah,
That's what I was
yeah.
thinking of.
So the city of Troy has two colleges.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
Troy University's in Alabama. They ain't there.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
never
down
mind.
south.
Never mind. Different
I
Troy.
thought that was I thought that was a joke.
Yeah, no, no, no. I literally did not know where the University of Troy it was.
Yeah, it's in Alabama.
I knew it existed, but again, didn't know
Yeah,
its
because of
geographic
football.
location. Yeah, yeah. The only reason I know is because of football and for betting.
Yeah.
But yeah. So California's a cesspool and continues to be. So fuck them. That being said, you want to wrap this up?
We can wrap this up.
All right. What do you got?
Uh, so I'm on record as I hate painting. Interior
Yes.
painting, exterior painting, I can live with. I still don't love it. Uh, I can now extend that to interior painting and all associated tasks involved because I'm getting real fucking annoyed having to like we're having the interior of this place painted, both probably because it's due, but also like in anticipation of the sale.
Right.
And it's just like move like there's just so like you think it's like, oh, you just gotta clear the walls.
Yeah.
And it's
Nope.
like a million boxes of pictures and then it's like she has one bookcase and it's like okay the bookcase has got to go so it's like all the books got to occupy however many boxes and then it's
Yeah.
like I had a bookcase full of shit from the gym that was down here so it's like got to pack up all those And then it's like I had two bags of golf clubs in plus down here. Those got to go to the garage. It's like, and then I think what really stings the most is not only like we got to box all this shit up, which eventually we have to do anyway. So it is like a two birds with one stone. I'm not getting
Right,
past that.
right,
But like
right.
when you say it's like, oh, we just gotta get the house ready to get painted. It's like, oh, we're not moving yet. But it's like, motherfucker, yes, we are. Like we fucking basically are.
Yeah, yeah.
But um our garage being disconnected really fucking sucks right now.
Yeah, you have to walk
I
to
gotta
the
fucking
garage.
carry it all out there. And it's like I wish I had a fucking two-wheeler.
Yeah,
That would be cool. Don't have one.
yeah. That'll be a
So
purchase when you get the new house.
I was thinking about that today. I go, I think I need to give a strong consideration to buying a fucking hand truck.
Yeah.
But then I was wondering, will I use it? Because
You'll find ways to use it. I have one. I use it all the time. I actually the tires are flat, so I got to pump the tires. I went to use it at one point, like not too long ago, and I was like, ah, shit, the tires are flat.
yeah.
It's like this is easier for me to just pick this fucking thing up and carry
Well,
it.
you have a long you have a long walk in too, usually for where you usually park.
Yeah, yeah, because
So I get that.
I park in the loop down by
Yeah.
the front of the lot.
Because like I'm gonna be able to back my car right up to the garage if I'm not parking in it.
True. Yeah, but I mean, it's nice to have like if I mean, realistically, not like I'm some kind of fucking hand truck salesman here or anything, but it's nice to have like if you got to take something like if you got soil, right? Like you got a bunch of bags of mulch, you got a bunch of bags of dirt or something, you're doing like you know what I mean? You just toss it all on that and just wheel it around.
Fucking hiring for that.
Yeah.
I'm not fucking doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm
I
not. You can't make me.
I can't make you. You're correct.
Yeah. Damn right you can't.
Yeah, get ready for that
Yeah.
fucking life. It's like, oh, I got to do this. I got to do that, right? And you say, I trust me, I've gone through this a million times already. Where you're like, oh yeah, I'll just fucking pay someone to do it, and then you get the bill, and you're like, fuck that, I'll do it myself.
So I will say the only thing that might keep me doing it, like hiring, is I need to hire someone for the 2 months that I'm not gonna be there,
Right, right, right,
but
right.
yet shit's still gonna be growing.
Yeah, no, I mean like in the future now as a homeowner, right? Like as a legitimate bona fide homeowner, right? Like I don't count Mansfield because you know we were young and just
We
fucking drunk all
refused
the
to
time.
fucking I
We
burned
didn't
all
have a
my
lawnmower.
problems.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say I burned all my problems and we did no yard like
no,
maintenance.
we cut the grass with a weed whacker. And then when it got too long, Craig got sick of looking at it, so he mowed it for us, right? Like it was just like
Dude,
I
the
don't
day we
count
moved in, I go,
Mansfield.
I'm not mowing this lawn. I said it.
Yeah,
I go, I'm not mowing this.
yeah, yeah,
And I didn't, not once.
yeah. So when it got bad, we used a weed whacker, and then when it got really bad, the neighbor just did it for us. So
Yeah.
fuck it, why not? But no, like the like legitimate stuff. Like we're going through this right now, actually. So this could be my final thought. Are you done with yours? I don't want to
Yeah,
cut
that's
you off.
it.
Yeah,
Fucking
so
painting and everything associated with it sucks balls.
I'll roll this into my final thought, which is we're trying to get the in some more insulation put in the attic, and by some more I mean like any, because it's completely bare. So, uh, in the summertime when it's 94 degrees out, like it was today, it's 94 plus in there. And in the wintertime when it's 12 degrees out, it's about 12 degrees in the attic. I
Okay,
mean,
how does that work?
yeah, it's completely unfinished, right? I know you know this, right? But for listeners or watchers,
I
like
actually was in the
it's
process of unfinishing it.
yes, you were instrumental in the process of unfinishing it. But so I talked about it in a previous episode, right? We did the home energy audit so that I could get the town of North Attleboro to give me an amazing $1,000, right, towards this thing. Uh, and I had a couple companies come out and take a look at it. The first company sent me a quote just for the attic, $11,000. And I was
Just
like,
for insulation or
just for
to
insulation. And I
So
was
just the
like,
Pink Panther shit, or are
spray
they gonna
foam,
spray it?
spray foam.
Oh,
So I was like, well, that's a
that's
fucking
about ten
joke.
thousand dollars more than I want to pay.
Yeah, exactly. So then the second guy came out who was actually really cool to talk to. He was a nice guy. He would do the basement and the attic, right? Because we need to seal the rim joists in the basement. Which is, hey, it's one of the things I might have talked about it on that episode, but it's like one of those like revelations that you have. Like if you remember going in like an old basement, like I know my basement in Medford growing up had the bats of insulation in the ceiling all over that, but it was unfinished. So it was just like insulation. Um, and the guy that did the home energy on it was like, yeah, you know, the old basements, whatever, they used to put the bats in the ceiling. Yeah, you don't need that. He goes, where does the cold air come in from? He goes, the outside, where the wood meets the foundation. He goes, so if you just seal that, you don't need all the insulation in the ceiling. And I was like, huh, yeah, that's right. So, like I said, come to find out, decades later, they figured out where the cold air was coming from. So company number two was like, yeah, we'll do the basement for you. Because company number one, the guy was kind of a weirdo. And he was like, well, we really only do new construction. We don't do weatherization projects. And I was like, dude, my attic is completely bare. And he was like, well, I guess that would technically count as potential new construction. So I think we can come out and take a look. And I was like, all right, sick, dude. So for only doing the attic, it was 11 grand. Company number two comes out. He's actually a good dude. Tells me about different ways we can save money, and he'll do the basement and the attic, and that's like 9 grand. So he also said that there's ways because the attic, obviously you've been up there, right? There's a slope to it. It might be dangerous to stand on the
You
outside
can't
of
put a
it.
sniper up
Yeah, I
there.
can't put a sniper on my roof. Um, there's a point, right? I think it's about 5 feet. Wherever the wall gets to 5 feet high, they typically just drop a wall straight down, and then everything inside to the where the soffit is, right, where the roof meets the house, um, just becomes storage space, right? You basically like building a knee wall, right, on either side to for the account for the slope. Um, so he goes everything back there we can use a different kind of insulation. So it'll be way cheaper. And he's like, for everything else, we'll use like it's open cell, closed cell, not to be like super fucking weird about it. But he goes, we'll do the open cell where everything that's going to be behind the knee wall. We'll do closed cell on the roof and the top and the walls, and you'll be all set. And he goes, it'll probably save you at least $1,000 off the price. So you're looking at like 8 grand, right? Realistically, when it's all said and done there, that's still about $6,000 more than I was hoping to spend. Uh, so now I'm kind of like, do I just have him come and seal the rim joist in the basement? Because the basement gets really fucking cold in the wintertime because similar to Mansfield, we don't have a door, right? Like through the bulkhead, it's just the bulkhead. So obviously that's going to affect, cold, heat, money, savings, whatever. So I'm like, all right, so we can save, maybe I just have you come do the rim joist and maybe I get my fat ass up on a ladder and just stuff the pink fucking fiberglass foam in the rafters in the basement and then like just call it a day and we can figure it out in like 3 to 5 years when we go to actually finish the attic, right? When I can potentially save enough money because all I'm doing lately is just spending money, right? And it's like I don't know. I'm not really keen on spending $8,000, even if the fine town of North Attleboro is going to give me 1,000, right? So I'm not keen on spending 7,000 of my own American dollars to insulate the fucking attic. So again, if I might price it out, if it costs me $1,200 to buy rolls and bats of the pink fiberglass stuff, I will schlep my ass up there on a fucking ladder and I will stuff those rafters like you wouldn't believe for $1,200. So I don't know. It's just gonna
I think you and
depend
I both
on.
know how this ends.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it ends with you being quite itchy when you're done.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. But I can save $7,000, right? And like that's kind of the point I was getting to, right? Where like, yeah, I would love like the whole garden thing, building the garden fence. And I'm like, yeah, I got all the material here. All I need you to do, man, whatever the dude's name was, Julio, Jorge, whatever the fuck, good guy, right? And I was like, yeah, all right, cool. Sends me the quote for like 3 grand. I'm like, hey, man, I already bought all the material. Like, you're telling me the labor is $3,000 for this thing? Like, yeah, I know we talked about it. It's because he didn't want to do it, right? So when
Yep.
you don't want to do it, you just make the quote high, and then you don't have to worry about it.
Yep.
But like, yeah, and now I was like, no, fuck it, I'll build it myself, right? Like, it's just one of those things where I always have intentions of doing stuff. I'll bring someone in and do it, and then you see the fucking quote, and you're like, Jesus fucking Christ, I'll just do it myself. Except for some things, right? Like the patio. Like I paid the money to get the patio done correctly because that was a whole fucking task, right? Like I don't have a Kubota, right? Like I don't have anything like that. Those guys banged it out in a week. It would have taken me months, right? And the rocks, like the patio, the paver stones would have been all fucked up. It just I'll pay for stuff like that, right? Like that's good. I don't know if I'm really interested in paying $7,000 for fucking insulation in a space that isn't going to be used in the next 3 years. Like, unless we hit the fucking lottery, like, I don't have 50 grand to finish the attic, right? Because that's basically what I'm assuming it's going to cost at this point, right? Because everything is more expensive, inflation, whatever, yada, yada. Thanks, Biden. Fuck you. Whatever you want to say. Like, I'm assuming it's probably going to cost 50 grand to finish that attic. I don't have that.
Oh, get hustling. Yep.
Yeah.
Just mindset. The only reason you don't have the 50K is it's just mindset.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to start hustling more.
Yeah.
I got to start selling feet pics on OnlyFans.
You gotta start doing something.
Yeah.
I'd start with mindset. Mindset's probably worth at least 20.
Yeah, I feel like if I just put the energy out there, right? If I carry myself
Just
like I'm gonna
just
get
yeah,
50
just
grand,
act like you're a guy with a finished attic.
yeah, yeah, the universe will just give it to me. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it'll happen. Like you can't have a finished attic if you don't conduct yourself like someone with one.
That's true. That's
That's
true.
that's
That's a
step one.
fantastic
Step
point.
one is like, I mean, dude, you're like off to the wrong. You got this on the wrong foot.
Yeah, yeah,
Like you got to
yeah,
tell everyone, yeah, I got a finished attic, and then it's like, oh, can I see it? Sure can. What happened? This isn't finished at all. This is the opposite of finished.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, well,
This
I just
is
needed to
quite
improve my
literally bare.
mindset. I need to mindset training.
Yeah, I mean, it would
I
be.
wonder if my guy would come to North Attleboro. He might. Seems like
You
he'll
got an
learn.
insulation guy?
No, I have a fucking contractor.
Oh,
But
yeah,
I'm pretty sure if you need insulation, he'll do it.
yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, part of the thing that I think of now, and so again, you deal with a little bit here and a little bit there, right? Like where are you going to save the money? I deal with this shit with my clients all the time. I had a guy on my team call me today because we have a massive pharmaceutical client in Cambridge that is moving, and the project is in the hundreds of millions of dollars, right? And the project manager for this pharmaceutical company was trying to nickel and dime to save $8,000. And in the process, ended up costing $4,000 to save 8,000. Right. So it's like whatever. Right. So I understand that like there is a potential for that. But like my job is to manage projects, right? Like I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know what a GC is, how to do GC. Also, in order to be a general contractor, you need to have subs, right? Like you need to know companies, which I do not, right? However, I can manage projects. So if I knew the correct people, right, I am confident that I could manage the project. However, I don't know an electrician. I don't know someone that can do drywall. I don't know anyone that can do insulation. I don't know anyone that can do plumbing, right? So like
So
it's my
effectively,
job doesn't really
you're
apply when
useless.
I don't know the people.
So you're telling me that I'm a better project manager than you because I can fucking solve all of those problems.
Yeah, well, you'd be a better general contractor, right? And that's the
No,
difference between
no,
project management and general contracting.
no, because I know the people
That's true.
and I know what I want done, kind of,
Yeah.
or I don't do it.
But like, so that's the thing, right? Like, I could save money theoretically by not hiring a GC and just bringing in the individual people. However, I
You're
don't
not going to
know the
save money
individual
because
people.
but that's the thing. You're not going to save money because they're going to charge you more as a one off.
Right.
Like the guy that I'm going to use, he hires the same electrician every fucking time.
Right. Right.
So the rate that he charges that GC is going to be less than what he charges a guy that calls up out of nowhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
And same with a painter, all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like I said, I'm not in the real estate realm. I'm not in that realm. So it's one of those where like I know I could do it, but I can't. And like you just said too, the subs, like any one of his regular subs is going to charge him less than they would charge me. Like my dumbass, hey, I'd like you to come out and give me a quote. Right? Okay.
Sure.
Here's a quote.
200 an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what would you charge? What would you charge Steve? 100 an hour.
Yeah.
What's with double? Steve brings me a lot of business.
Well, I joke around too with like my boss and like the people that we work with, where it's like I'm like I think about sometimes like when I want to do something on the house, if I handled those projects like we handle our projects at work, but I'm like the residential clients don't go through like an RFP process. Like with commercial clients, like we have like whatever the vendor might be, whether it's a moving company or a equipment deinstall company, if it's for a lab or manufacturers, whatever it might be, like we have them go through an RFP process, which is like request for proposal, right? So it's like we provide parameters for what we're looking for. You then need to provide us a quote based on those parameters. And then we analyze everyone's quote that comes in and compare and contrast and go through whatever. And I'm like, there's no way if I did that in like the residential construction world that people would do that. They'd be like, you're fucking crazy. Like, because again, how many project managers are there that like get involved in the residential construction space? There are none, right? Like I just happen to be
No, because
involved in commercial.
they're called general contractors.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. I just happen to be involved in the commercial construction area. I'm construction adjacent, right? I'm not even in actual construction, but I
Yeah,
work with all
technically,
the
you guys
same
don't
people.
actually do anything. We've been
Correct.
over that too.
Correct. I am a consultant. I consult on things. But yeah, so the joys of owning a home. So, yeah, that's going to do it for us. So thanks for watching. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit subscribe up above. Click the thumbs up down below. Subscribe if you're an audio only guy as well. You get us on Instagram at Sarcasm Speaks Pod. Twitter is Sarcasm_speaks. Facebook page is Sarcasm Speaks. The website is sarcasmspeaks.com. Check out the show notes below and support the sponsors. Follow those links to get some cool products and some great discounts and support us in the process. So until next time, good night, everybody.